Hello friends, Ben Ochart here. Thank you for tuning in. In a recent live stream, you can see the thumbnail up here somewhere, I talked about fish health, and my intention was to turn that segment of the live stream into a standalone video. Well, for some reason I couldn't get the voice and the video to actually sync up. I had some kind of an issue, so I decided to go ahead and just make a brand new video for you. The whole purpose of this video is to help us to have the healthiest fish possible. You know, we run into things sometimes, we run into fish health, and if I look back and at the comments and questions and things that I've heard over the years I've been on YouTube, some of the most frustrating points have been losing fish due to poor health and having something happen to the fish, such as a stress-producing event, and then have the fish succumb to disease, and break down. That's probably followed second by mistakes or errors like death after a water change, mistakes that were made by the fish keeper that resulted in some kind of catastrophe, right? Overclean the tank, created an ammonia spike, all the fish die off, forgetting to adjust turn something back on, the fish end up starving because of oxygen deprivation or something like that. So let's go ahead and get into it. And this is, these are 10 points, and I think I've got 10 points for you, and on how to make sure you have the best health. Now, the first point is going to seem rather obvious to some of you, but maybe as I talk about it, it'll make sense. The first point is to actually look, and by look I mean spend time actually like I'm doing right now, and really examining the fish closely. Very often we get caught up in the rush of life, and we fly in, we throw some food in there, and we fly out, and we don't really sit and really look. And if you do, you'll notice that there's something going on with the fins of one fish, or there's a little bit of a fog appearing in the eye of one of the fish, or a fish looks like he's been harassed a bit. Very subtle, but it looks like he's definitely been taking some shots. And because you spent the time and looked and spotted it, you could take quick action. And that leads me to point number 2. Point number 2 is to respond. Don't see something, suspect something, and then just kind of like blow it off, or take your time, or hope that time takes care of it. I mean, it's true that sometimes some fresh water and maintaining optimum conditions, and a fish can heal on their own. But more often than not, if you spot something, a belly that's starting to sink, some scales missing on the side of the body from where there's been some aggression, or a fish that's clamping their fins and not seeming that interested in eating, you notice something like that, you need to step in. You need to pull that fish out and put him into a hospital tank, and let him chill for a little bit, maybe add a little salt, or maybe get into a medication. Point number 3 is like the theme, or one of the mottos of my channel, and that's always be learning, always be a sponge filter, be a sponge filter for knowledge about fish. Watch people on YouTube, but realize that they're not necessarily always the experts. So use many sources of information. Always be learning, gathering information about tank mates, filtration, water quality, water parameters, testing results, types of food, tank mates, lighting options, maintenance options. I mean, there's such a wealth of information out there, and I don't say this to overwhelm you, but I am saying that there's a lot of knowledge, a lot of information, and over time you will become extremely knowledgeable if you have that open mind and never reach a point where you think you know it all already. I mean, I think that the second you think you know it all, at that moment you start to become very stupid. Things are constantly changing. There's always new information to be discovered and used in this hobby. So always be learning. Learn about medication. I mean, this is something that you could call this one of the points. Learn about disease, how diseases look, and then have the proper medications on hand. Maybe some ICX, maybe some general cure, maybe some Paracleanse, Fritz Paracleanse, some aquarium salt. I mean, have things handy so that when you do look and you do see something, you can respond with the proper medication. And because you've been studying and learning, you know what disease is what and what to, how to medicate that disease, what to do about it. I lost some fish once because I initially misdiagnosed what I was seeing, and by the time I figured out what it was, I had lost 50% of my fish. And so, study those things, right? Another point that I think is important, and I guess this is point number 4, be very reluctant, very slow to make changes in an aquarium that is working. If your fish are colorful, they're healthy, they're active, they're growing, they don't change it. Why would you change anything in an obviously working environment? So if the environment is working, I wouldn't necessarily, regardless of who said it on YouTube, regardless of how intriguing or exciting that advice might seem, I wouldn't necessarily immediately go into making changes. I would be very slow about it in a working aquarium. Now, if your aquarium is continuing to have problems, fish die after every water change, you can't get rid of the horrible fogginess, and it's not the kind of tank where you'd expect that, but you just, no matter what you do, you can't get it to clear up. These are issues where you would go ahead and consider changes, do a little research, and make some changes, but be real slow to make changes. My personal philosophy is mess less, just mess less, because every time you mess, whether it's something as simple as vacuuming, water changing, servicing a filter, you are impacting the ecosystem and might be impacting it in a very negative fashion. So mess less. My next point is there are areas where there's wiggle room. You might be able to skip maintenance for a week, let's say, and catch it next week and without experiencing horrible consequences, unless you have a fish that's extremely sensitive. So there are some places where you can cut corners, and let's say filter media. Do you have to have the most expensive filter media? Do you need Matrix? Do you need Marine Pure? Do you need Biohome? Those are all great products, but is that the only way to go? Could you go with pot scrubbers? Could you go with just straight sponge straight across the boards? And so, yeah, there are places where you can cut corners. One place I suggest you never cut corners is food. Research and understand food. Look into it. Understand what's meant by fillers and binders. Watch how your fish do on certain foods. Realize that some fish can get to food that's floating because they're just fast, but some fish can't get to floating food. So if you have fish that are waiting lower in the water column for food, realize that you have to mix your food with some floating and some sinking food. But primarily research the ingredients in food to make sure that you have a food that is good, clean ingredients, the right ratio of proteins and vegetables. If your fish are need veggies, be sure you have the right amount of veggies in there, and get the best food you can get your hands on. Currently, I'm using Extreme, Denachi. I'm using Pisce Energetics. What else? I'm probably missing. Oh, Sarah. I'm using Sarah, and I'm going to be re-exploring some options with Northfin. I know that they've really cleaned up their scene up there and have a really good clean product. So, and I make a blend of food that I use. So, and my fish love it. They go crazy over it. Don't compromise on food, and understand what makes up a good food. For example, is the food high phosphate? I mean, you might be battling algae and not even realizing that every time you feed, the particular food you're using is a very high phosphate food, and as a result, you're encouraging algae growth. Whereas something like Sarah, they claim that their food has lower phosphates. That could mean something. That could actually impact your algae battle that you're having with brown algae, let's say, or black bearded algae. The next point, and I think again this is something that is going to be obvious, and it certainly has been said many times, and that is you really have to do the work. And even though there are probably times where you feel like you really don't want to, and you'd rather go fish, go ride your bike, go do something else, or just sit in front of the TV. You really have to. In this hobby, it really involves, and I think it's a good thing. It's a good thing. It really forces you to put in the discipline, just like getting to the gym or eating right, or whatever it is that requires pushing through the inertia that can set in sometimes. You've got to push yourself through and do the work. I personally find doing the work very therapeutic. I enjoy it. I love the result of it. Watching the fish color up, and in the case of big cichlids, go into like breeding type behavior from the different water, and I just get a lot of personal satisfaction in knowing that I've done something that's going to enhance the fish. And while I'm doing it, I'm sort of in a sort of, for lack of a better word, a meditative state. While I'm doing it, I'm completely focused on what I'm doing, and my mind is off of life's issues, problems, politics, money, whatever might be going on in your life, family issues, whatever might be going on in life. For that moment, you can actually just tune out and just lose yourself in the maintenance of the aquarium. And it's actually, I think it's very rewarding. You get a very quick satisfaction from it, and so it's very good. So do the work. Now the last point, and this is a point that I've made in different ways in different videos, and in a lot of ways I think is the most important point, and that is to have fun. Really have fun. We're very lucky, we're in a lot of ways, we're kind of blessed in being able to keep these incredible critters, these incredible creatures in these glass boxes, and have them be part of our lives. And so, have fun, enjoy it, and don't get over serious about it. Don't be constantly looking for what's wrong. I mean, definitely look, like I said, on point number one, but don't be always wondering what's going to crash next, and walk around with this level of anxiety that is unnecessary. Don't take it so seriously. If you're a YouTuber, don't take yourself so seriously. Keep it light, keep it a light touch. It's fish in a glass box, and just take a deep breath and enjoy the heck out of it. Really enjoy what's right. The wonderful colors, the interaction, the crazy beauty that these fish add to our lives. So just enjoy it and relax with it. Don't let it be a source of stress for you. And as I mentioned in a previous video that had to do with multiple tank syndrome, if you get to a point where the enjoyment starts to be missing, think back about the last time where you were really enjoying it and go back to that point. Maybe you've added too many tanks. Maybe you have too many fish. Maybe you've gone a bit too far. Maybe you got to cut it back a little bit, and really don't let it slip from a love and an enjoyment into a chore and work that you dread and don't like. If you get to that point, maybe your multiple tank syndrome has gone a bit too far. So cut it back to where it's fun. Maybe add different kinds of fish. In my case, I've added, you know, live bears and betta fish and all kinds of stuff. You know, planted community tanks. You know, add something that'll spice it up for you, and don't get it to a point where it's a pain in the butt, because at that point it's not a hobby anymore. It's just a chore, and that's not the way to really do it. Okay, so that's it, my friends. That's it. I don't know. Did I give you 10? Maybe I did. I don't know. If I didn't, I'll refund the difference to anyone who We'll talk about this. We'll talk about a whole lot more on the Saturday live stream, Cichlids and Coffee, and I hope to see you there. It's at 11 a.m. Central Time every Saturday, and that's 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. If you'd like to support the channel, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell, and consider becoming a Patreon monthly supporter, and that really helps. Details are in the description, and you can be part of what we call the Garage Gang. All right, thank you, my friends. I'll see you again soon. That's it for me. Bye-bye.